Hi students, it is a fact that British ruled our country and we got freedom from them in 1947. Do you think one fine day they started to rule our country? No, it is not. A trading company named East India Company of England came to India for trade and their main aim was to earn profit. Some or other reasons were not favoring East India Company to earn enough profit. Those reasons led to war between East India Company and Indian rulers. Success in wars helped Company to get more power and authority. Slowly and gradually, East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. To understand more about this territorial colonial power, let us study the third chapter of history, class 8, ruling the countryside. In this video, we will study the topics such as the company becomes the Diwan, revenue for the company, the need to improve agriculture, permanent settlement, problems faced by permanent settlement. Let us discuss the first topic, the company becomes the Diwan. On 12th August 1765, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. As Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. Now it had to think of administering the land and organizing its revenue. Let us learn the next topic, revenue for the company. British tried to extract revenue as much as possible in order to finance the purchase of goods for export. But before 1765, the company had purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Soon, Bengal economy faced crisis, as well as there was decline in production by artisans and agriculturists, and peasants were not able to pay the heavy dues which were demanded by the company. If the economy was in ruins, could the company be certain of its revenue income? No. So, to ensure its revenue, the company thought of encouraging investment in land and improvement in agriculture. With this intention, the company introduced permanent settlement in Bengal in the year 1793, Mahalwari settlement in the northwestern provinces of the Bengal Presidency in 1822, and Rayodwari settlement in South India. Let us understand each settlement in detail. First, permanent settlement. The company introduced the permanent settlement in 1793 in Bengal. Charles Cornwallis was the Governor General of India when the permanent settlement was introduced. By the terms of the settlement, the Rajas and Talukdars were recognized as Zamindars, and they were asked to collect rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. The amount to be paid to the company was fixed permanently. This means it was not to be increased ever in future. Britishers felt that this system would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company's treasury and at the same time encourage the Zamindars to invest in improving the land. However, permanent settlement created problems. Company officials soon discovered that zamindars were not investing in the improvement of land. The revenue that had been fixed was so high that the zamindars found it difficult to pay. Anyone who failed to pay the revenue lost his zamindari. Numerous zamindaris were sold off by the company. By the first decade of the 19th century, the situation changed. However, the zamindars did not invest any money in the improvement of the land even after benefit from the increased production of the land. Zamindars gave out land to tenants and extracted rent from them at any cost. In the villages, the cultivator found the system extremely oppressive. The rent cultivator paid to the zamindar was high and his right on the land was insecure.